Semen retention is not merely a biological process. It is an energetic discipline that refines a man's presence, aura, and influence over his environment. Many assumes that attraction is about looks or wealth, but in reality, it is about the energy a man carries within him. Women, being naturally attuned to energy, can subconsciously sense the difference between a man who squanders his vital essence and one who conserves and channels it for higher purposes. A retained man possesses a strong magnetic presence, one that is not desperate for validation or external pleasure. Unlike the average man who seeks instant gratification, he exudes patience, stability, and control, qualities that automatically command respect. When a man retains his semen, he retains his life force, which transforms his mental, physical, and spiritual state. This transformation is subtle, yet powerful, creating an aura of leadership and self-mastery. Women respect such men because they see in them a rare trait, discipline. In an era where distractions are endless and temptations are easily accessible, a man who can master his desires stands out. His ability to control himself suggests that he is also capable of handling life's challenges, making him a pillar of strength in any situation. Women, by nature, respect and gravitate towards men who embody this stability and focus. But respect is not just about attraction. It is about admiration for a man who lives with purpose. A retained man does not seek external pleasure as his primary source of happiness. Instead, he finds fulfillment in his inner world, his mission, and his spiritual growth. This independence and self-sufficiency set him apart in ways that demand respect. The shift in energy. What women perceive. Women, even if they are unaware of semen retention as a concept, can intuitively feel the shift in a man's energy. A retained man walks with confidence, not because he is pretending to be confident, but because he has cultivated an inner reservoir of strength. His gaze is firm, not distracted. His words are deliberate, not seeking approval. His movements are purposeful, not restless. This presence is deeply felt by those around him, particularly by women, who are naturally perceptive of masculine energy. A man who practices semen retention exudes a form of silent dominance. This is not the dominance of arrogance or force, but the dominance of self-assurance and inner power. When a man retains, his body is no longer in a constant state of depletion. Instead, his hormones are balanced, his voice deepens, his skin glows, and his eyes radiate a sharp clarity. This physical transformation is only a reflection of the deeper transformation occurring within his mind and spirit. Women respect such men because they do not seem needy or desperate. The majority of men today are trapped in cycles of seeking validation through external means, pornography, casual sex, and excessive social media consumption. These behaviors create an energy of neediness, which repels rather than attracts. A retained man, however, emits an energy of abundance. He does not chase, he attracts. He does not seek approval, he naturally commands respect. Furthermore, women perceive retained men as leaders. A man who has mastered himself can be trusted to lead in various aspects of life. Whether in relationships, business, or social interactions, his ability to remain composed and centered makes him a natural authority. This leadership quality is something women deeply admire, as it provides a sense of security and direction in an uncertain world. Spiritual growth and feminine respect. At a deeper level, the respect women feel toward retained men is also connected to spirituality. Retention is not just about abstaining from ejaculation. It is about transmuting that energy into higher forms of consciousness. Many ancient traditions, including Buddhism, Taoism, and Hinduism, have emphasized the importance of preserving one's vital energy for spiritual advancement. A retained man, over time, develops heightened intuition, emotional stability, and a deep sense of purpose, all of which resonate with the feminine at a spiritual level. Women who are in tune with their own feminine energy naturally respect men who are in tune with their masculine energy. In today's world, many men have lost touch with their divine masculine essence, becoming passive, distracted, and weak-willed. But a man who retains and refines his energy reconnects with his true nature. He becomes a force of creation rather than destruction. Women respect this because it restores the natural balance between masculine and feminine energies. This is why relationships between retained men and spiritually awakened women tend to be deeper and more fulfilling. The man is not merely present physically, he is present emotionally and spiritually. He listens with full awareness, speaks with intention, and moves with clarity. He does not react impulsively, but responds with wisdom. Such qualities make a man not only attractive, but also profoundly respected. Moreover, when a man retains, he naturally becomes more selective about the women he engages with. He no longer seeks fleeting pleasure, but instead values depth, connection, and meaning. This, in turn, forces women to elevate their own standards when dealing with him. They realize that he is not like other men who can be easily manipulated by physical beauty or momentary pleasure. Instead, they must offer something deeper: intelligence, emotional depth, and spiritual alignment. How women subconsciously test a retained man. It is important to understand that a woman's respect is not given freely. It is earned. Women, often unconsciously, test the strength of a man's energy to see if he is truly as disciplined as he appears. These tests can come in the form of emotional challenges, flirtation, or even subtle attempts to distract him from his path. A man who retains must recognize these tests for what they are: opportunities to reaffirm his self-mastery. One of the most common ways women test a man is by observing how he handles temptation. If a retained man easily succumbs to lustful desires at the first sign of seduction, he reveals that his discipline is merely surface level. However, if he remains composed, acknowledging beauty without being controlled by it, his value in the eyes of women increases dramatically. He becomes a mystery, an enigma that they cannot easily decode. Another way women test men is through emotional turbulence. Women, by nature, express emotions fluidly, sometimes unpredictably. A retained man, rather than reacting with frustration or weakness, remains grounded and unshaken. This emotional stability is something women deeply respect because it signals that he is not controlled by external circumstances. He is a man of principle, not impulse. Lastly, women observe how a man spends his time and energy. A retained man does not waste his days in idle distractions. He is focused on his goals, his mission, and his spiritual growth. Women respect men who are driven because it signifies a deeper sense of purpose. They see in such men a rare quality, someone who is truly alive, not merely existing. The silent confidence of retained men. One of the most profound changes in a retained man is his confidence, but not the loud, ego-driven confidence of someone trying to prove himself. Instead, it is a quiet, unshakable belief in himself that does not seek validation. This kind of confidence is rare, and women recognize it instantly. A man who does not need approval carries an energy of certainty, making him naturally respected and admired. This silent confidence comes from the inner stability that retention cultivates. Most men seek confidence through external achievements, relationships, or material wealth, but a retained man derives his confidence from within. He understands that his energy is sacred and that his value does not depend on external validation. This self-assurance makes him powerful in social interactions, business, and relationships. Women find themselves drawn to this kind of man because he does not beg for attention. Unlike men who seek approval through excessive talking or showing off, a retained man remains composed. He listens attentively, speaks only when necessary, and his words carry weight. His energy is one of calm dominance, which women find deeply intriguing and respectable. Furthermore, this confidence is not dependent on any single moment. It is an accumulation of disciplined actions, self-respect, and inner growth. Women can sense this, and they naturally respect a man who is unwavering in his presence. They know that such a man is rare and that his energy cannot be easily influenced by fleeting emotions or external opinions. Masculine polarity and feminine respect. The dynamic between masculine and feminine energy is one of nature's most powerful forces. Women, being predominantly feminine, naturally gravitate toward strong masculine energy. However, in today's world, many men have lost touch with their masculinity, becoming passive and indecisive. A retained man, on the other hand, radiates pure masculine energy, focused, disciplined, and purpose-driven. This polarity creates a powerful respect dynamic. Women admire men who are deeply in touch with their masculine essence because it allows them to fully embrace their own femininity. When a man leads with strength, direction, and purpose, a woman feels safe and respected. She sees him as a protector, a provider, and a leader, which automatically earns him admiration. A retained man does not suppress his masculine desires, he refines them. He does not chase meaningless pleasure, but instead seeks deeper connections. He does not react emotionally to challenges, but faces them with logic and composure. These qualities make him a man that women not only respect, but also trust and rely on in times of uncertainty. In relationships, this masculine polarity creates balance. Women respect retained men because they do not fall into emotional chaos. Instead, they remain centered, providing the stability that many women subconsciously seek in a partner. This is why women are naturally drawn to retained men. They represent true masculinity in its purest form. Emotional mastery and its effect on women. One of the strongest reasons women respect retained men is their emotional mastery. The average man today is highly reactive, easily angered, frustrated, or emotionally unstable. This instability creates doubt, making it difficult for women to fully trust or respect such a man. In contrast, a retained man develops a high level of emotional control. Retention teaches patience, resilience, and discipline. Instead of reacting impulsively to situations, a retained man pauses, observes, and responds with clarity. Women admire this because emotional stability is a sign of true strength. A man who can control his emotions can control his life, and that is a rare and admirable trait. Women also test a man's emotional resilience, sometimes unconsciously. They may create emotional challenges to see if he remains composed or if he crumbles under pressure. A retained man, being in control of his energy, does not react out of desperation. He remains firm no matter what is thrown his way. This consistency earns deep respect because it proves that he is grounded in himself. Moreover, emotional mastery allows a man to be a source of strength for others. Women respect men who can remain calm under pressure, offering wisdom instead of chaos. When a man masters his emotions, he becomes a leader, not just in relationships, but in every area of life. How semen retention transforms a man's aura. A man's energy or aura is something that cannot be faked. Women may not always consciously understand why they are drawn to certain men, but they can feel their energy. A retained man emits a powerful aura, one of focus, vitality, and purpose. This invisible force is what makes him stand out. When a man practices semen retention, his energy is not wasted on instant gratification. Instead, it builds up within him, enhancing his physical appearance, mental sharpness, and overall presence. His posture improves, his voice deepens, and his eye contact becomes stronger. All of these factors contribute to an aura of strength that naturally commands respect. Women sense this energy at an intuitive level. They may not be able to explain why they feel differently around a retained man, but they do. His aura is magnetic, making him more attractive without him needing to do anything specific. This is why many men on the path of retention notice that women start approaching them more often. However, it is not just about attraction. The respect comes from the undeniable presence that a retained man carries. When a man walks into a room with full control over his energy, people notice. Women, especially, can feel that they are in the presence of someone different, someone who values himself deeply and does not waste his life force. Purpose-driven living and feminine admiration. The final and perhaps most important reason women respect retained men is their deep sense of purpose. A man without purpose is like a ship without a destination, easily swayed by the winds of distraction and external influence. But a retained man channels his energy toward his mission, and this focus is incredibly powerful. Women are naturally drawn to men who are on a mission. When a man has a clear direction, he exudes confidence, determination, and vision. He does not get lost in meaningless distractions because his energy is invested in something greater. This sense of purpose makes him highly respectable because it shows that he values his time and energy. A man who is constantly chasing pleasure often appears lost and unfocused. He is at the mercy of his desires, making him weak in the eyes of women. But a retained man is different. His discipline proves that he is in control of his destiny, which naturally elevates his status. Women do not just respect such men, they admire and look up to them. Ultimately, purpose-driven living is the highest form of self-respect, and women mirror that respect back. When a man knows what he wants and works relentlessly toward it, he becomes unstoppable. His presence alone inspires others, and women instinctively recognize that he is not just another ordinary man, he is a force of nature. The power of self-sufficiency and independence. One of the most attractive and respectable traits of a retained man is his self-sufficiency. In a world where many seek validation, attention, and approval from others, especially from women, a retained man stands apart because he is entirely fulfilled from within. He does not depend on external pleasure to feel complete, and this makes him incredibly powerful in the eyes of women. Women naturally respect men who are independent because such men do not operate from a place of neediness. A man who retains his semen is not easily swayed by temporary emotions or external desires. He does not chase women for attention, nor does he allow the opinions of others to dictate his actions. This level of detachment and self-mastery creates an aura of mystery and strength, which women find both intriguing and respectable. Furthermore, self-sufficiency extends beyond just emotional independence. A retained man is financially, mentally, and spiritually independent. He does not rely on others for motivation or purpose. He creates his own path. Women admire this because it signifies that he is capable of handling life's challenges without crumbling under pressure. A self-sufficient man is a leader, not a follower, and women instinctively respect men who take charge of their own destiny. This independence also changes the way women interact with a retained man. Unlike with other men, they realize that he cannot be manipulated by physical beauty or superficial attraction. They must offer something deeper, genuine connection, emotional intelligence, and mutual respect, to be in his presence. This shifts the entire dynamic, making him the one who sets the standards rather than the other way around. Why women feel safe around retained men. Another powerful reason women deeply respect retained men is the sense of security they provide. In an unstable world where many men are emotionally reactive, easily distracted, or lost in short-term pleasures, a retained man stands as a pillar of strength and stability. Women are naturally drawn to men who provide a feeling of safety, not just physical safety, but emotional and spiritual security as well. A retained man does not waver under pressure. He does not allow his emotions to control his actions, nor does he engage in reckless behaviors that put himself or others at risk. His composure, patience, and wisdom create an environment where women feel protected, understood, and valued. This is why women respect him, because they see in him a rare quality of unwavering presence and reliability. Additionally, women feel safe around retained men because they do not perceive them as weak or desperate. Many men today are driven by lust, allowing their desires to control them. This lack of control makes them unpredictable and unreliable, which naturally repels respect. A retained man, however, has mastered his urges. He does not view women as mere objects of pleasure, but as beings to be understood and appreciated. This mindset creates a deep sense of trust, making women feel comfortable and respected in his presence. Lastly, spiritual safety plays a crucial role in the respect dynamic. A retained man is often in tune with his higher self, which means he operates from a place of integrity, wisdom, and moral clarity. Women respect men who have strong values and live by them. They recognize that a retained man is not just physically disciplined, but also mentally and spiritually strong. This makes him not only desirable, but deeply admirable. The path of mastery. Semen retention is not a practice of suppression, but of transformation. A retained man is not merely avoiding pleasure, he is channeling his energy into something greater. This shift in focus elevates his physical presence, mental clarity, and spiritual depth, all of which naturally command the respect of women. Women respect retained men because they represent something rare in today's world: self-mastery. They embody discipline, purpose, and a profound connection to their own energy. This respect is not just about attraction, but about admiration for a man who stands firm in his essence. However, retention alone is not enough. A man must actively cultivate wisdom, emotional intelligence, and purpose in order to fully embody his power. Only then will he truly earn the respect and admiration of those around him. The journey of semen retention and spirituality is one of self-discovery, refinement, and ultimate mastery. As a man walks this path, he becomes more than just attractive. He becomes a source of inspiration, leadership, and respect.